So many people think that miracles only happen when someone gets emotional enough, when they cry enough, when they beg hard enough. They think if they just reach a certain point of desperation, maybe then something will shift. But it doesn't work that way. Miracles aren't moved by emotion. They don't answer to how desperate you feel. They respond to something deeper: expectation. It's not about how intense your need is. It's about how confident your belief is. The moment you start expecting something to change, really expecting it, you create space for that miracle to happen. This is why you can hear two people pray the exact same words, but only one of them sees a breakthrough. It's not about the words alone. It's the weight behind them. It's the energy, the certainty, the authority with which they're spoken. When someone speaks from a place of fear or panic, it carries a different vibration than someone who speaks from faith. One is reaching, hoping something happens. The other is expecting, already aligned with the shift. You've probably felt it before, even in everyday life. There's a difference when someone walks into a room expecting good news versus someone who's bracing for bad. You can feel it on them. Their body, their tone, their presence. It all radiates what they are expecting, and your words, especially in prayer, do the same thing. They don't just echo into the air. They send a signal, a message, and when that message comes from a place of total, unshakable belief that change is already in motion, that's when the atmosphere begins to respond. People often ask, how can a miracle happen in seconds? And the answer is, because time doesn't dictate transformation. Alignment does. The second your expectation collides with the moment, things move. It's not a matter of hours or days. It's a matter of readiness, and expectation prepares you. It tunes your heart, sharpens your words, and focuses your attention on the outcome instead of the obstacle. That's why it's so important to pray not from panic, but from power. Now, that doesn't mean you have to feel strong all the time. You don't have to pretend you're not struggling. What it means is, even when you feel weak, you can still choose to expect something good to happen. You can still choose to speak words that line up with breakthrough, because expectation isn't about emotion. It's about decision. It's about choosing to believe again and again that your situation is not permanent. That the moment you speak with alignment, things begin to change, and what's beautiful is that expectation doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be dramatic. Sometimes the most powerful prayers are the quiet ones, spoken in a whisper, but full of fire. Because the strength isn't in the volume, it's in the certainty. It's in the knowing. When you pray from a place of, I know this is shifting, you don't need to shout. The atmosphere already feels the weight of your word. Too often, people wait to see something change before they allow themselves to believe, but miracles don't follow sight. They follow faith. So if you're sitting there, waiting for something to happen before you expect it, you've got it backwards. Expectation comes first. You speak before the door opens. You act like it's done even while it still looks the same, because that's what triggers movement. That's what pulls breakthrough into now instead of someday. And here's the thing. Every time you choose expectation over emotion, you gain strength. Every time you speak from faith instead of fear, you build something inside you. Even if it doesn't happen instantly, you're creating alignment. You're becoming the kind of person who miracles can find easily, not because you're lucky, not because you're better, but because you've created the inner space for it to land. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about expecting that something good is still possible, even in the middle of what looks impossible. That kind of expectation opens doors. That kind of expectation shifts the atmosphere. That kind of expectation invites power to show up in your ordinary moments and turn them into something extraordinary. You don't need long, complicated words. You don't need to rehearse a perfect sentence. All you need is one moment of pure expectation, one breath, one whisper, one decision to speak from your belief, not your fear, and in that moment, seconds, not hours, something can change. Miracles move at the speed of belief. There's a difference between speaking from need and speaking from authority. Most people pray from a place of lack. They focus on what's missing, what's broken, what hasn't happened yet. And when you speak from that place, your words tend to sound small, unsure, and scattered. But when you shift and begin to speak from authority, not arrogance, but inner certainty, everything changes. You stop begging and start declaring. You stop questioning and start commanding. And the atmosphere can feel the difference immediately. Authority doesn't mean shouting. It doesn't mean pushing or striving. It simply means knowing where you stand. It means opening your mouth with a confidence that what you're speaking is already in motion. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't flinch when things look the opposite of what you're declaring. When you pray from that place, even a short sentence can carry the weight to move mountains. People think long prayers mean more power, but that's not true. You can speak 10 words with authority and see more shift than someone who speaks for an hour from uncertainty, because it's not about the amount of words, it's about the energy behind them. Authority is when you speak and everything around you listens. And that doesn't come from your circumstances. It comes from your decision to speak from truth, not fear. Some people whisper with more power than others shout. Why? Because authority isn't volume, it's alignment. When your words line up with what you truly believe, they don't need to be dressed up. They carry a force on their own. That's why you can walk into a room, say one line in total belief, and shift the entire atmosphere. Because what you carry inside of you is what your words release. You've probably had moments where you felt powerless, like your words were just bouncing off the walls. But maybe the real issue wasn't that no one was listening. Maybe it was that you weren't speaking from the right place. Maybe you were praying from fear, hoping something would work, but not truly believing it already had. Authority doesn't hope, it knows. Authority doesn't beg, it stands. And when you pray from that posture, the result often comes faster than you think. There's something about someone who refuses to back down, someone who speaks with that quiet inner fire, the kind that says, I don't care what it looks like right now. I know what I'm walking into. That kind of voice doesn't just echo, it creates. It builds the future while standing in the middle of uncertainty. And that's exactly what makes it so powerful. This is why small prayers can trigger big miracles. It's not about saying everything perfectly, it's about saying the right thing with the right posture. And sometimes, all it takes is one line. One moment where you stop pleading and start proclaiming. One moment where you choose to believe that your voice matters, that your words have weight, and that your circumstances have no choice but to respond. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to have all the answers to speak with authority. You don't need to see the outcome yet. All you need is the decision to shift the way you speak, to stop reinforcing the problem and start calling in the solution. Authority is a choice. It's a daily decision to stop giving power to fear and start stepping into your role as a creator, not just a reactor. You might think, but who am I to speak with that kind of power? And the answer is, you're the one who's been through enough to know what doesn't work. You've tried the worrying, you've tried the doubting, you've cried yourself to sleep and whispered every version of why me. And now it's time for something different. Now it's time to speak not from the pain of the past, but from the vision of the future. To open your mouth, even if your hands are shaking, and say enough. Things shift now. Because when you speak with authority, you give permission for miracles to move. You open a door. You release power. And whether it happens in seconds or days, the moment you speak it, the moment you mean it, something in the atmosphere begins to shift. One line, one decision, one moment of pure authority, that's all it takes. You don't have to wait for everything around you to get better before something inside you starts to shift. In fact, it's the other way around. The moment you speak from a place of faith, from a place of clarity and boldness, the atmosphere begins to change, even if nothing on the outside seems different yet. That's the invisible power of spoken word. They don't just float into the air and disappear. They land, they move things, they create pressure in the unseen realm, pushing against what's been stuck, what's been closed off, what's been resistant. People don't realize how quickly things can change. They assume that transformation takes weeks, months, years. But sometimes it only takes a second. A single moment where something rises up inside of you and says, "No more." A moment when your words stop echoing your fears and start creating your future. And the atmosphere, even if no one else feels it, starts to respond, because your words carry authority. And when that authority is spoken with clarity and belief, it disrupts what's been normal for too long. The atmosphere is not just physical. It's emotional, mental, and spiritual. It's the tone of the room, the energy of your space. It's what you carry when you walk in. Some people can walk into a room and lift it without saying a word. But when that kind of presence is paired with words, spoken with precision and purpose, it becomes unstoppable. That's when miracles start to move, not because of noise, but because of alignment. Because your words and your atmosphere are finally walking in the same direction. Have you ever noticed how one conversation can change the entire feel of a room? One person's tone, one person's energy can either make everyone feel heavy or make everyone feel hopeful. That's atmosphere. And whether you're aware of it or not, your words are always shaping it. Every time you speak from belief, you inject light into whatever space you're in. And the moment that light hits, darkness has to shift. The atmosphere you carry is a reflection of what you believe. If you constantly speak doubt, fear, and frustration, the space around you will feel tense and uncertain. But if you start speaking with purpose, with clarity, with focused intention, especially when you don't feel like it, that's when things begin to break open. That's when you feel something lift. It might be subtle at first, but you'll notice it. You'll feel the shift. It could be as simple as saying, "Things are changing for me now." That one sentence, spoken in faith, can start to break cycles. Why? Because it interrupts the pattern. It cuts off the spiral of negativity. It steps into the room and says, "We're not doing this anymore. We're shifting now." And the energy, the atmosphere, the heaviness, it all starts to respond. Sometimes you'll say it and the room will still feel the same. But don't let that fool you. Just because you don't feel it immediately doesn't mean it didn't work. Change isn't always loud. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, slow, internal, but real. Sometimes the most powerful shifts are invisible at first, but undeniable over time, and it all starts the moment you choose to speak. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be rehearsed. It just has to be real. The more authentic you are, the more power your words carry, because power doesn't come from perfection. It comes from conviction. It comes from that deep place in you that refuses to give up, no matter what things look like. You can feel the difference when someone speaks from that place. Their words don't just sound good. They land, they carry something, they shift something, and when you speak from that same place, things will shift for you too. You're not just reacting to the atmosphere, you're creating it. This is why it matters what you say, especially when things feel heavy. It's easy to speak light when you already feel it, but when you don't, that's when your words matter most. That's when they become tools, instruments of change, triggers for miracles. Because when you speak, you're doing more than filling space. You're commanding the environment to match your vision. You're aligning what's around you with what's inside of you. And when those two connect, when the internal voice lines up with external conditions, that's when the shift happens. Don't wait for the atmosphere to change before you speak. Speak so the atmosphere has no choice but to change. One sentence can do more than 100 silent wishes. One moment can spark a miracle. One word can open a door. One prayer can shift the atmosphere. But what truly sustains a life of breakthrough, what turns isolated moments into a continuous flow, is consistency. The kind of consistency that doesn't depend on mood, on circumstances, or on feelings. The kind that's rooted in commitment, quiet, steady, unshakable commitment. The truth is, it's not what you do once that changes everything. It's what you do every day, especially when no one's watching and nothing seems to be happening. We all have those moments when we feel a surge of faith, when something rises up in us and we speak with boldness and fire. And those moments are powerful, but if they're not followed by consistent action, they fade. They become memories instead of momentum. That's why people often feel like they had a break through one day and then slipped right back into the same cycle the next. It's not because the miracle wasn't real, it's because the rhythm wasn't built. The power is in the rhythm. Think about it. Just like you don't build strength by going to the gym once, you don't build a miracle-filled life by praying boldly once. You do it by showing up daily, speaking life when no one else is, declaring truth over your situation even when it still looks messy, lifting your voice every morning, every night, and sometimes in the middle of the chaos, because you've trained yourself to respond with faith, not frustration. That's how you move from a single miracle to a lifestyle where miracles are normal. It becomes less about hoping something will happen and more about expecting it, because your daily habits have built that expectation into the foundation of your life. It becomes part of your identity. You stop being someone who needs a miracle and start being someone who attracts them, not because of luck or timing, but because of alignment and preparation. There's something powerful about repetition. Saying the same short prayer again and again might seem small, but over time it carves something deep inside of you. It clears out the doubt. It silences the noise. It reminds you daily who you are and what you're stepping into. You're not repeating out of ritual. You're repeating to reinforce. And every time you do, the miracle moves closer, not because you're chasing it, but because you're aligning with it. People sometimes ask, how do I make the miracles keep coming? And the answer isn't complicated. Keep showing up. Keep speaking. Keep doing the thing that works, even when it feels like nothing is moving, because what looks like silence on the surface is often just set up beneath it. You're building something no one can see yet, but soon the results will speak for themselves. The consistency you practice today becomes the overflow you walk in tomorrow, and the more you practice that consistency, the less it feels like work. It turns into rhythm. It turns into instinct. You'll catch yourself speaking truth without even thinking about it. You'll walk into situations that used to stress you out and speak peace instead. You'll face financial pressure and declare provision without hesitation, not because you're pretending, but because that's what your mouth has been trained to do. This is why it's so important to build your rhythm now. Don't wait for things to get easier. Build it in the middle of the chaos. Build it while it's hard. Build it when you feel uncertain. Because the rhythm you build in the storm is the one that will carry you through when calm returns. And when the next storm comes, and it always does, you'll already have your rhythm ready. You won't be shaken because your foundation wasn't built on emotion. It was built on consistency. So, if you've ever felt like your progress disappears overnight, if you've ever seen a miracle and wondered why it didn't last, maybe it's not that the miracle left you. Maybe it's that the rhythm wasn't strong enough to carry it. But the good news is you can start now. You can build that rhythm one word at a time, one morning at a time, one choice at a time. And before long, the miraculous won't feel like a rare moment. It'll feel like your new normal. Because a miracle lifestyle doesn't begin with one big event. It begins with one small decision repeated daily until it becomes who you are. Keep speaking, keep showing up, keep building your rhythm. Let the consistency create the life your miracles are waiting to land in.